needs a, we will be able to provide that for you. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Keith from Airwall.
Hey there. I'm so glad you guys are all here. I'm very excited to share what we've been up to for the last almost 3.5, 4 years now. We debuted, as Sean mentioned, in 2019 at the Experience in Las Vegas. That's where we met everybody at tier level, and it was an amazing time. And we've had a good time since. We've even managed to have a good time throughout this last year and a half, and very busy developing some really exciting product. Now, we kind of went back and forth about how best to do this today. And, initially we were going to give you all of our stories and our histories and kind of start at the beginning, but we decided to kind of flip the script and go in reverse. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to start with the latest and greatest, the newest that we've come up with. And then we're going to work our way back through the timeline, showing each of the products as we go. It is a live demo, so we're going to be working with our product. The idea there is we want you to see truly how easy it is to use. That's one of the huge advantages of our product, is how quickly it sets up and saves you on your labor costs, which is a big thing for us. So we are going to go ahead and kind of jump right in. I'm going to talk through the process, and then there will be periods of time where we're going to go ahead and set this camera that I'm looking at right now down, and we're going to turn off our sound so we don't make a bunch of noise that you have to listen to. Meantime, we're going to entertain you with some videos, but in the background, from there, you're going to be able to see us doing our thing. So you can kind of keep an eye on what's happening with Sean and videos and things, but you can also keep an eye on what we're actually doing and see what we're up to. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start jumping in. The first thing I'm going to show you is over here. This is our dust curtain. The dust curtain was developed to be able to allow you to ingress, egress, set up a docking chamber. You can see probably right away that there is a makeup air filter here on the side. That's what the dust curtain was designed for, and we are going to show you that. But what we wanted to show you to start was how we can do what you're already used to seeing, and what you may, because of space requirements, or maybe just you don't have enough of the other Airwall product on your truck. So we built this. This is set up with what you're used to seeing, tape along the sides, but at the top, there is no tape. And that's because our product really isn't designed to be used with tape. This is our like I said, we're going ahead and showing you something you are familiar with. That's basically what it comes down to. Now, throughout the process, we are going to turn some machines on and off. We're only going to run them for a short period of time just because of the sound. But I am going to go ahead and do that now. We're going to turn this on. We're going to run negative pressure inside that small chamber right there. And we do have a magnet helic on the wall, so we're going to be able to show you what we're pulling, to show you that we are pulling very safe numbers. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and fire it up, putting it on minimum. I do want to draw you over here so you can see we have, again, the makeup air filter. We've connected it directly to the curtain itself without any extra ducting, although we have that, and we will show you that in a later setup. We also have this opening here, which we're using right now to help secure the curtain and just keep it from sucking in so hard. But it is also an option that you could run lay flat tubing out and maybe up along the ceiling if you need to duct air out of that curtain. We make it very easy to use. Again, we're looking here. So we make very, very large zipper, really get equipment in and out very quickly and very easily without having to squeeze through, which we've all done. Got a window to be able to see through. We got this here for the job sheet. Very cool. We're going to show you the inside of this thing when we actually do the other setup. There's not a lot of room in there, so we show better when we have the larger setup going. Over here, this is the magnet helic. You can see that right now we're pulling 0.05 inches of water, which is, this is running this machine at minimum right now. And that is more than double the minimum and what many would consider the safe number, so that when you are going in and out, you're not losing all of that containment. Although if you all the way, I guarantee you lost all your containment. Okay, so that is the dust curtain. Again, this is one possible setup. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to transition to the full setup. We're going to by this room in half. Start here, and we're going to turn off our audio so you're not hearing all the noise. Sean is going to entertain you, and we're going to come back. So looking forward to it. Hang in there and just keep an eye on us on that screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of the start, and what you're about to see next is going to be extremely exciting because it's a new product that they've developed along with the dust curtain called the Airwall Nexus, and this is going to be, in my opinion, this is one of the most amazing things I've seen, and they actually demoed it at the Experience Conference this year. And as you're watching right now, they're actually rolling out, this is basically going to be an inflatable type wall that you can set up, connect different different segments of it to make a larger wall or use it in a small confined space. It will also arch and bend and curve and do some unique things like that. So what you're about to see is going to be real impressive, and they're actually doing it in real time right now. So we're not doing a time-lapse video or anything like that. This is going to show you exactly how easy it is to set up versus building traditional containment. I put a poll up just a second ago that just from an estimate of what you guys on the webinar on average are spending per year in plastic containment. And, majority of you were in the $1,000 to $5,000 range a year. And a good chunk of you, like a lot of larger restoration companies that work in mold mitigation and different services, over $5,000 to $10,000 a year. So it does add up when you start looking year over year, the amount of plastic that we're putting back into the world, because once that plastic is used, it has to be disposed of. So that you can definitely see where some of this technology not only is more beneficial for the environment, but also long-term, because you can launder and wash all of these products that they're displaying, will actually give you a longer life. And more importantly, it's just the amount of time that it takes to set up containment. That's where this is really going to get beneficial. So I'm going to go ahead and show the video right now. Whitney, do you have anything else to add?
No, so I was going to say Keith was actually the only video feature that R&R magazine did at the experience in Vegas. So we thought it'd be really important to show you all that video. It's pretty short, but it gives a very good explanation of what the products are, the people behind the products, and why they are, where they are today. So
awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now so everybody can see this video. It's about 4 minutes long. So I'm going to go ahead and share this now, and then we'll pick right back up when we're done. Oh, hold on 1 second. There we go.
So behind me is the airlocks. It is built to be that second barrier, that antechamber, the doffing chamber that's required in mold and asbestos remediation. Currently, it's being done with poles and plastic and tape and spray adhesive and spray foam and all these different things that come with a lot of problems. It takes a long time to build. When done properly, they're pretty reliable, but a lot of times they're not being done properly, either because of inexperience or maybe just laziness, not always being done right. The good thing about this is it's very foolproof. You set it up essentially with a vacuum cleaner and an air mover or a HEPA filter, right? Because you're creating negative air. In most cases, you're creating a negative air environment. So this is the doffing chamber. This is a transition space from dirty to clean. And it's a requirement for any type of mold and asbestos remediation. And so we provided a much easier, faster, less labor intensive, reusable type of platform to do it. And it's part of a larger ecosystem. Our tagline, we are Airwalls by Zeppelin, containment from A to Z, because we can contain under your house, over your house, in your house, doorways, walls. One of the really kind of amazing parts of this airlocks is we constructed it using separate components that can be used separately. The unit behind me here is the Airwall X. That's for blocking off a doorway and creating negative containment in just a matter of a few minutes. The walls of it, either side, kind of hard to see, but they are individual walls in themselves. And when removed from the airlocks itself, can be zipped together along with others if need be for as many linear feet as you need to create a barrier in a room that literally goes up. Each one takes about 1.5 minutes to fill. and then you place it. This is only one of the configurations for the airlocks. We're using it with an X because in this show, we wanted to show people what we're doing. But if people choose, there is a double zippered curtain option. The back of this unit is a zipper curtain. The advantages are just manifold. I mean, I've said it before, that for me, the thing that got me out of bed in the morning when we were in the depths of COVID and we're trying to stay busy, keep innovating, you know, and get the products that we launched here 2 years ago.
Glad my phone actually just kicked on. Let me.
Get them out into the market. What got me out of bed in the morning and motivated me was the ecological aspect of it. There's a lot of virgin plastic that is being thrown away right now that I don't want to see it thrown away anymore. And so by building a product that's mega durable, we actually take care of a lot of that. We used the highest quality materials we could find, the most expensive zippers, the most expensive materials that are UV resistant. This didn't need to be UV resistant, but I made it UV resistant. So, and now you can actually set this up outside. We've actually built an air chamber that, the doffing chamber that could be put outside. So now the UV actually could be a factor, but it wasn't our original thought. I just wanted something that was going to last. So when someone gets this equipment, yes, it's more expensive than plastic, but the money that they save on labor, and then after that, maybe 6 or 7 uses, it's all going into the positive. You're talking about a 4-hour construction down to 30 minutes. It's just so much easier. Besides just the green aspect, right, is the hygienic aspect, right? There is a perfect way to build containment. And there's a lot of people in this room that can do that, but they're not. Their crews are, right? And that's the nature of anything. You know, you always say, I wish I had 100 of me. Or if you have a really great employee or two, you think, oh, I wish I could clone you, right? Because you're amazing. Well, a lot of us are forced to deal with not those people. And maybe they're not doing everything exactly right. This takes a lot of the error aspect out of it because you don't have to be specialized. You don't have to know what kind of tape to use, how many layers, when to use staples and spray adhesive and all the rest. You don't need to know. We took care of that for you. We made it simple. We made it easy to use. So that was kind of, you know, those things are what we really feel are our market advantage. It's why we feel that this is the future of restoration. It's right on my doormat. Welcome to the future of restoration.
All right. Well, as you can see, that was a really cool video just because it was done at the Experience Conference.
We're going to talk about how they
Magazine.
used to
Hold on
pay
1 second.
versus how they pay now.
That was done at the Experience Conference, and as you can see in the video, they're almost done setting up this chamber, which is right a little under 10 minutes to get this whole piece set up to segment off that room. As Keith said, the durability and the quality of this is what makes this product so impressive. You know, they have done tests where they've shot nail guns at this when it was set up in a room just to see how it would stay inflated even by puncturing it. So it does have a lot of durability, and they've been doing some really creative ways to test that. But I think, you know, it's all about just that long-term durability. Like he said, with labor being a major issue for many of you restoration professionals out there right now, this does cut back on the requirements and what you might need in terms of the manpower and the accuracy to set up this type of containment. So I'm going to go ahead and throw another poll up real quick. 1 second. So I want to know, like, really, how many of you guys are struggling with labor issues right now? I mean, I know this has been a very widespread issue in terms of finding techs and things like that, but just want to kind of see wherever you're from. And if you want to put more details on that in the chat box, feel free to do so. But I travel the country meeting with many restoration owners and see that this is a very common issue, that we're seeing in front of us. But you know, we're probably going to get together and do some more strategy educational session on this topic as well. But this is kind of what the overview of what we're talking about today, an easy way to set up containment, drying equipment without the use of additional labor, where one or two individuals on your team can actually maximize this. So it looks like Keith is ready to keep going. Keith, are you ready?
Ready. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Sean, for entertaining everybody. Maybe you took a second to see what we were doing over there. We were frenetically trying to get this all set up for you. The reality, pour down one form of containment and put up a whole new set in 10-ish minutes. I don't care how good your guys are, they're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to do most of the tape in that amount of time. So that's kind of the point, right? Savings. Reusability, obviously. I heard Sean talking about that. It was kind of running in the background there. Reusability is another big part of it, because all these materials that you're just buying and throwing away, we're talking about being able to go into the plus category after 4 to 6 uses. I think that was all. What we're going to do now is we're going to go and continue. We're going to talk a little bit more about the dust curtain that I showed you earlier, and then we're going to also talk about what has been added. So let's go ahead and continue the discussion. I'm going to go ahead and do the sound bit first. We're going to show you the negative containment aspect. So let's do that right now. So here you got your mag and helix. We're running it. Oh, we're running it max. We don't need to do all that. So we can crank it up. It's a bigger space. Obviously, we need to run a little more. But if I want to go full, I can get it all the way up to, I don't know, back up to 5 again. Anyway, we have a fireplace on the other side that we can use pressure through. But there it is, negative pressure set up in just a matter of minutes. Let's continue with the dust curtain. So I showed you where the air is coming in. This is a different way of doing it. We're running some flexible duct through it this time. These ports are accepting of at least 12 inches, maybe 14 to 16 inches with a little choking down as you go through. So most of the lay flat that you have in your truck is going to go ahead and pass through either of these. And then also, obviously, 12-inch flexible ducting. Once again, your intake. I'm going to show you some more details on that when we get inside. So we're going to go in here. I'm going to have Tony follow me in with the camera. We get some lights on in there so it's easier to see. Okay. Well, that might be why we weren't throwing as much negative. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to show you was this right here. This is something that actually came from discussions from people like you, professionals, people in the industry. I was talking to a trainer actually, who's become kind of a friend and a partner in a sense as we've come along here. And we were talking, I was kind of spitballing some of these ideas with them. And he suggested that we have, in essence, a one-way valve. And I love the idea of it. So this is what we've done. This one-way valve, as the pressure increases, it moves away and it allows the air to flow through. If you are getting too much air to move through and you need to choke it down a little bit, you just run these zippers down a little bit, and then that decreases how much surface area is exposed and increases the space, the pressure inside this space. So that is something that you'll dial in on each job site. In the event that there's a power failure, what's really cool about this, because we know they happen, right? If there's a power failure, we've got magnets installed here and here. So when the pressure drops, this just magnetically seals up. Now, it's not perfect. You still have these openings here. But if you, let's say, open a front door after a power failure and you pressurize this chamber because of the differential, you're not going to blow a bunch of air through that filter and then launch a bunch of the particulates that it's been capturing back out into that clean space. So as far as I know, no one's doing that in containment these days. He mentioned it. I was determined to make it work. And I think we came up with a really cool way to do it. While we're inside here, I just want to take a moment and kind of show you. These were obviously not here the last time. These are the Nexus. Nexus have become the backbone for several of our products. On our website, in fact, we have a doffing chamber that we showed. In fact, I think you saw pictures of it from the R&R video. We have two different doffing chambers. That's the one that we showed in Vegas. And it does, by the way, attach to this assembly, it attaches to this curtain. We're going to be showing you the second soft wall chamber, which also attaches here to this curtain. And it all is possible because of the Nexus. The Nexus are 5 feet by 8, 9, or 10 feet tall. They are adjustable in height. And all you have to do to get them to go to 9 or 10 feet is put an attachment at the top. That's all it takes. So the conversion from 8 to 9 to 10 takes a minute or two. It's very, very quick. They can be zipped together. You could run 10 of these side by side, or you could put 1 or 2 together. It's totally up to you. The job will determine that. One of the things that we solved, it's a major pain point in your industry. And again, we'll probably talk about this a little bit more detail later, is noise. These walls cut noise by a dramatic amount. By themselves, 10 to 11 to 12, maybe even 13 decibels. And when you pair them up, we got almost 25 decibels in drop. And that's a pain point in your residential, especially where people are having to live with these machines throughout the drying process. So we feel like we've addressed that without even trying. It was just a really cool benefit to what we were doing. So now let's go ahead and step outside.
Here, flip that up, Kate. So it doesn't
Yeah.
do that.
There we go. Much better.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if this is a good opportunity to invite questions, but if anybody's got any questions, throw in that box. I'm going to do my best to listen to the audio here. If Sean or Whitney want to let me know if there is a question out there, that would be great. I invite you to do it. As you're thinking about those questions, I'm just going to let you know what's next. What's coming next, we're going to do a similar thing we did the last time. We're going to go ahead and set this camera down. We're going to mute the audio so we can make a whole bunch of noise. And then we're going to go ahead and set up this other doffing chamber that I've been teasing you with. We're really excited about this one. It comes in at a much lower price point than the one that was in Vegas, simply because it doesn't require the use of 2 Nexus to make it happen. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and get started.
Hey,
I went ahead
Sean.
and put a poll up too, just getting your feels. It's pretty obvious that no customer likes loud noises. I mean, I can tell you, I worked for a very large restoration company in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and this was one of the biggest complaints we got, especially from residential customers, but as well as commercial customers. If it wasn't a total loss or 100% of affected areas and people were still habitating or working in the facility, noise was always a big issue. So one thing that really excites me about the Nexus and some of the products that they're putting together is the ability to reduce that sound. And they've already started doing testing on the amount of, or the decibel levels that it will bring that down. So I'm going to go ahead and share another video from Keith while they're getting this set up in the background. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to go ahead and put them in the chat box and we will get to those at the end. Like I said earlier, we are recording this, so we will send the replay if you want to share or give it to anybody else on your team, as well as we'll have an opportunity if you want to do more of a deep dive or some product testing or anything like that. Keith will be available to set up a one-on-one with you as well, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and share this video with you guys real quick, and then we'll pick back up with them in a second.
All right, this is going to be a cool one. We're going to do a little thing here. We're going to show you exactly how good this system is at cutting the noise down on a job site, because that's one of the biggest complaints, let's face it, with a drying job is the owners are just freaking out over the noise, shutting off machines and all the rest. We know how it all goes. So this is a demonstration of that. We're going to give you a baseline. And for that, we're going to go ahead and pull up a decibel meter. And then we're going to step inside. Okay. And this is that hallway where we're about to create a lot of noise. And I'm going to get quiet so we can have some really good numbers here. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to fire up the noisemaker. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and pull one layer back at a time. All right, so first one. Okay, and the second one. Now I'm gonna close them up. Okay, I'll make sure you have plenty of time to see those numbers. Okay, we're back to just the vacuum cleaner. Okay, so I hope this has been a really good example for you of what it can do for your job site and for the overall peace of mind of the people living in the home that you're restoring. So thank you very much. We'll catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot.
All right, so as you
Okay,
can
so
see,
welcome back. All right, this is going to be a cool one. We're going to do a little thing here. We're going to
all right. So as you can see, it definitely reduces several decibel levels when using the Airwall, the products in a confined space like that. So I think this is, you know, when you look at a lot of those smaller jobs that you're doing where there's an affected bathroom or an affected bedroom or something like that, this can be extremely beneficial for making the environment more livable or more tolerable when going through a restoration project like this. You know, I still think I go back to think of all the jobs where we came back on day 2 or day 3 and the plastic was starting to peel off from the tape and things like that, whether it was done correctly or not. It just always seemed to be a hassle. What I love about these products is, you know, they stay in place, you know, and that they're reliable. And that at the end of the day is what we're really looking for, is like, how do we build that consistency? How do we have that presentation so it actually looks good as well when you're on a job site? So Keith, are you go ahead and ready to get started again?
Yeah, we're ready. Did anybody come up with any questions while we were doing that, or should we just go ahead and move forward?
Yeah, we actually do have a question from Leo.
Okay.
He was mentioning, obviously branding is extremely important. Do you have a way to customize the wall? Could the clients that he has have their logos on your Airwall?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That was always one of our goals. Is if you're going to go through the effort of going past and surpassing what the competition is doing, you want people to know who's doing it, and it's actually quite easy for us to do. We don't even actually charge extra to do it. We just have minimum requirements for, especially if you go with a custom colored fabric, which we can do. So if you have blue or green or yellow or whatever your color is, we can go ahead and get literally a Pantone match if that's what you want, or something close, but that's up to you. And then we definitely, we have made no bones about printing our own logo on most of our product. You'll see it when we show you the X in the doorway a little later. We put our branding on there and we want you to do the same. So we do make that possible. We encourage it. We think it's a great way to get the message out that you're doing better than everybody else and trying harder and just setting up better containment. So Leah, I hope that answers your question, and I hope you like the answer.
Thanks, Keith.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just continue the process. All we've really done is taken what we had just set up and added the soft wall docking chamber. It's probably a little more familiar to you. It does not have the PVC frame that you are used to. It also doesn't have a spray adhesive, the foam, the tape, and all the other stuff that you're used to seeing. And it sets up in what, another 10 minutes-ish, something like that. So this whole process, you know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes if you haven't practiced it, it's pretty quick, especially when you compare it with the conventional. And I want to point something out that I didn't earlier because it really wasn't an issue, but one of the biggest things that we've conquered with this, I mean, besides the sound and the speed and not throwing stuff away, which is bad for the planet and bad for the pocketbook and all the rest of it, but tape failure. It's so annoying. I mean, we set up that dust curtain early on because it's something you're used to seeing and because it is a possible version or a use for our product. But it kept coming off. I mean, like every 3 or 4 hours, a little area would pop. The tape is just terrible. We didn't use any tape here. We have negative containment. We have seals all around. It lasts for as long as we need it to. Redundancy was very important to us. You know, one of the questions that we got back in 2019 when we only had continuously inflated product, which we will be showing, was what happens in a power failure. Breakers trip, all that kind of stuff. Now, tape fails a lot more, but breakers do pop. So what do? Well, that was when we went back and we said, what do we do? And that's where the Nexus came from. The Nexus, just to get into it a little bit, is built with 5 separate chambers. That's built-in redundancy. It is an inflate it and forget it product. We built it with an armor plating in the form of this 500 denier polyester and PVC product here that's very durable in itself. And then the bladders that we're using are an industrial quality they use in the hospital environment because of their reliability. They are incredibly durable. So we have these really durable products that are meant to avoid punctures, tears, cuts, all the rest of it. But we also understand that this is a rough business and it may happen. So we actually designed this so that if a chamber does fail, the whole wall won't fail. You won't lose containment. In fact, little story, when we were in this last show in Las Vegas, much to our, I don't know if it was drunk behavior or we just made someone nervous with this new product. I'd like to think the latter, I guess, because I want to make people nervous with this new disruptive technology that we've done. But I'd also like to believe the former because I don't want to believe someone would do that. But we got sabotaged. It was strange. We were standing there, all of us kind of talking. One or two of us were talking to people, and then we saw one of our walls, one of these Nexus, just jump. And we heard a big thump, and we all just looked at it and what was that? And it kind of knocked it out of place, and we really thought nothing of it other than how weird and what were people doing. Moved it back into place. Everything's fine. We come back the next morning, and one of the chambers was actually low. The rest of them were fine, which means that we didn't lose anything, right? It was still standing loud and proud, but one of the chambers was low. We managed to air it up. It lasted for hours and hours and hours without additional air. So we just made it go through the rest of the show. When we got back, we went through it forensically, and we realized that someone had stabbed it. So when someone punched it, they actually stabbed it with a knife. We took satisfaction in the fact that it didn't whirl around the room like a balloon. It didn't drop to the floor like a wet rice cake. And it actually was able to do the job for as long as we needed it to. So we were really happy with that. On that note, if you have a failure, we also wanted it to make super easy to do an infield repair should you need to. Should airing it up every day not be enough and you want to replace an inner tube, you can do that on the job site without taking the wall down. This is a question we're going to put out. Please, in the chat box, respond with your wish. But we decided that it would be fun to ask you guys if you would like to see us demonstrate that. I can actually deflate one of them, pull it out, put it back, and you can see the process. If you're interested in seeing that, put it in the chat box, and Whitney and Sean will let me know about that. Okay, so let's get into what we've just done. This, again, soft wall doffing chamber. We are aware, we're not experts. We get a lot of information from you guys, but it's our understanding that 12 square feet is what New York, and apparently they have the highest requirements, that's what they require for a doffing chamber, which allows 2 workers, some equipment, and debris bags and things like that. We decided to go 16. The soft wall is 16 square feet, which far exceeds it. The rigid wall that you saw in the video from Vegas is 15 square feet. So in both cases, we've gone past whatever we are aware of as the highest number. So we're gonna go ahead and step inside. There's not as much cool stuff to see in here because it's really just a fabric box. But once again, we did add a window. So now you've got 2 windows going all the way through, which is somewhat for light, but more about, being able to check, see if anybody's in there doing their thing before you break containment. Make sure that that barrier is up before you remove this barrier. Spot for a job sheet, same thing. Once again, super large doors. We want to make sure you can get through very easily. We would never open 2 at the same time, but here it is. This is our docking chamber. Once again, if you want to come inside, Tony, just give everybody a little look. There is not a whole lot to see in here, but you can see that these zippers are overlapped and go all the way floor to ceiling, all the way around. So this chamber is sealed up nice and tight. Now, again, for noise things, we're going to run it for a second. We are going to go ahead and close this up. We're going to run it there, and you'll be able to see how it works with the chamber. Okay. Okay, we're gonna fire it up. And we're gonna walk over to the magnet helix. Going a lot higher this time because we unclogged the hose on the other side. Imagine that. So once again, we're pulling 0.05 inches of water, which is double the standard, but by many considered the minimum. Okay. So we have the docking chamber, it's nice and loose. Pulling slightly. The real negative is happening back inside there. We're going to go ahead and show you what that curtain looks like. Hold on to 5. I don't know if you can see if there's enough depth perception with that camera, but nonetheless, there it is. You've all seen this before. It's got it better. So now that's it. I'm going to turn this off. Let everything calm down and get quiet again. Okay. So there it is. Now we're going to go ahead and leave this all set up. The next thing we're going to show you our window unit called an exhaust. We have 2 of them. We have a 1 and a 2. They fit in both sash windows and sliding windows, not in casement. We haven't figured that out. We'll work on it, but right now that's what we have set up for you. We, in this case, are using it in a sash window. We're going to go ahead and set this up for you. You can just. Okay, so admittedly, I had it all set up because we only have so much time this morning. But I think you get it at this point. This stuff is fast. It doesn't take a lot of time. And what we've managed to do is, if everything was sealed off in this room, we have set up negative containment. We're not running heavy filtration, we're just running an air filter. But you get the point. We didn't have to board that up. We didn't have to use a duct frame, none of that stuff. We're simply using the air coming out of the mover, plate the bag, which pushes the seal. This is your first introduction, by the way, to our constant pressure stuff. We're going to show you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. But it pushes against all the sides. You size it by simply sideways. And zippers shrink it. We had to use our larger bag in this particular window. We had to size it down. So we can fit just about any window out there. You have both of our bags. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move on. We don't want to push too past our time. We got about 20 minutes. We're going to keep moving.
Hey, Whitney, they're having trouble hearing from the noise.
What was that, Sean?
Oh, they're having trouble hearing you. You might need to be a little closer to the phone camera.
All right, so that was, I'm just going to repeat really quickly. That was the introduction to our constant inflation. That's just an example of why we're not going to run the machines. It sets up quickly. It's one of 2 window units that we have, an exhaust 1 and an exhaust 2. They fit anything from 24-inch, 20-inch windows all the way up to 48. And that's independently. You can zip them together. You can shrink them down. So you can cover everything from around 20 inches all the way up to 6, pretty big window. And you can do that because these things will attach to each other. So that's that. The piece of equipment that we connected it with, this is called our connects because it connects an air mover to a window unit. The very easy way of getting negative air really fast. In some of our videos, a lot of our videos, in fact, you'll see that this window unit is attached to the door unit, the X, that we're going to show you in a moment. All of our stuff can be connected to each other. That's the idea. It's an ecosystem, which is why this docking chamber and the rigid both attached to the same dust curtain. That's the idea. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move along now. We're going to go ahead and set up the X. Okay, so that's over here. first thing you do is you set up your support rod, make sure that you're set at the right dimension for the door that you're working in. Once you've done that, you simply put it in through the top tube, which is where you support it. This is just to make use a lot easier. It would stay in there with or without it, but it's just easier to use if it's got it. Okay. So that's it. We're most of the way there. What we have to do now is we connect it to the HEPA filter, air mover, whatever. All of our intakes on our constant inflation product, which would be the X, the Express, the Max, even our RX, which is what we built for COVID. They're all meant to fit any air mover you might have. Okay, so this you might notice is the Phoenix R500. It has this ring system, which in theory is great, but as you all know, it doesn't hold very well. So we actually improved it. We had these clips here just because it just wasn't working well, holding on to things. So that was our answer. Maybe Phoenix will call us and ask us how we did it. Because our products are soft, you can actually kind of use them like you would your lay flat. You just do it the same exact way. Once you've clipped it in, you just move these into position, lock them in for that extra bit of security. We don't want our job failing in the middle of the process. We want everything to be super secure. We're going to claim to be better than what you guys are using now. It can't be failing, right? Just can't. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the other side of the wall here, and I'm going to go ahead and power everything up and get it running. I'm going to come back through, which is giving me an opportunity to actually show you how to move through the door when it's inflated. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Whoops. Hold on 1 second. We need to put a vent in there. So this actually gives you an opportunity to see the vent. This is one of 3 inserts that we have. This is set at 45 degrees. And because these are not threads, you can rotate this 360 degrees. So you can aim the air wherever you want. We also have rings that have no vents at all, no vanes. And we have plugs, which is on the other side here. This is what it holds it all together. If you want to attach plastic, things like that, this clamp is what does it. So we're going to put this in here. So that's that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and pass to the other side. We're going to inflate it. I'll be back. Okay. So that's it. A lot of talking going on there. Still ahead. Containment set up in just minutes. This can establish negative, neutral, or positive containment depending on how you orient the equipment, where you're ducting your air. You're all experts in this stuff. You know the properties and physics of it. I don't need to explain that to you. What I do need to explain is how to put this back in. It's super simple. You can just use this like it is. There's no zippers. I know you're used to zippers. That's why we gave you some zippers, but this is how it goes. And that's it. We're done. It's meant for doors. We designed it for doors. We did a lot of work on creating these edge seals. There are 3 of them that go all all the way up the side, across the top and down the bottom. Those edge seals are meant to hug the door frame and to give layers of protection. Once again, we focused heavily in the development of this product on redundancy and durability, which brings me to another point. I should have pointed out when I didn't have it installed, but at the bottom of all our units, you see here, we use a material just like this down here. It's a heavy duty vinyl, and that's meant to protect it from tax grips or any other hazards that you know on a construction site. So that's that. Once again, this is the second thing we developed, and we introduced this back in 2019. We were very excited about it then. We're very excited about it now. It makes things very simple. We actually see this as kind of almost a first aid tool. If you show up, if your guys have been working all day, and you get that midnight call, you can do the job. You can go in and you can get your meters out and you can set everything up and you can spend 3 or 4 hours in the middle of the night getting someone's house figured out. Or you can set up a HEPA filter, DU, a couple of air movers, put this over a doorway that blocks off the loss. Come back in the morning. Better for your guys. And I'm guessing that the customers are going to appreciate that too. Come back at 9 o'clock. Carry on, 8 o'clock, whatever. But it's like a first aid job. Come back and decide whether it needs to stay. It's up to you. So that's that. I'm going to go turn that equipment off. Actually, let's plug it. Were you guys able to hear me well enough on that one?
Yeah, sound wasn't bad on that one.
The sound wasn't bad. Okay, that's probably because the Airwall X also blocks sound. It blocks anywhere from 7 to 8 decibels. It's not as impressive as the Nexus because it creates its own noise a little bit. Air is moving through it, but it does block its own sound too. So it is a barrier as well. We discovered that early on, which is why we tested these. So, okay, we've gone over everything. We have started from the latest, which is the dust curtain, the Nexus, the softwall docking chamber, the X, the window unit. We've actually gone in order, okay? And so the last thing we're going to show you is where we come full circle and we tell you about the first product we ever did. And that is the Express. The Express was developed while I was dying a little bit every second in a crawl space several years back. I got bit by a spider. I spent 3 hours getting my shins, my forearms bruised. It was awful. Camera's on me. And I wouldn't want to do it again. So what I did was come up with a way to set up containment. You can actually set up negative or positive, or a chamber dry in a crawl space. We tested it with a freezer truck for those of you that are maybe logging in from colder parts of the world. And from 32 degrees with just a DU and 2 air movers, we were able to inflate or increase the temperature in our drying space to almost 60 degrees. And we removed the water 3 times as fast as with plastic containment. We didn't even try it without containment. We didn't see the point. We just thought everything would probably freeze. So it's super effective in cold climate. Anywhere where your relative humidity is known to swing, you know, even in the desert where it's, you know, it's dry, it gets really cold at night. You might have a problem with your relative humidity at 3 in the morning. This sets up super easy, makes the drying process really efficient. It also can be used as a manifold in actual living spaces. We're going to be actually posting some videos of that real soon here that will show you what it can do in a kitchen environment and using ducted drying. I'm going to show you how we did that in just a second. We're going to go ahead and power this up. You're going to see how it deploys itself. And there's a bunch of little tubes that are going to come out. And those would actually be used to dry the subfloor, maybe poke a few in the bottom to hit the dirt as well. And this is how it works. I'm not even going to talk. I'm sure the Express would block sound too, but not going to work in this case. So these tubes that came out, these would And in fact, on our website, if you look at the opening video, you'll see this actually being done in a live crawl space. This is where you would poke the holes all on the top, wherever you need it, and it's going to hit the floor. You can poke some holes, hit the dirt. It's fantastic. But you can also take the vent that I showed you earlier, and you can put that at the end down here and direct air where you want it to dry. So that's it. I think I've covered it all. I hope that you were excited by it. And I'd like to open it up to any kind of questions at this point. What do you think?
Now, if you have questions, go ahead and put them down in the chat box. I would highly encourage you, if you want to do a one-on-one with Keith, just click that little poll, and we already have your email from registration, and he will reach out to you to set up a time that works best for you. There's a lot of cool things he can talk to you about one-on-one, the time frame when some of these products are going to be available, what's available now. And like I said, it's very exciting, the direction this is going. I've seen this used in the field. I've seen this used in demonstration, and getting your hands on it, it's just an incredible product to have in your arsenal for future jobs, and just the efficiency and time and everything that goes with that. So if you do have any questions, now is the time to put it in there. Keith, one question I was asked before is, what is the typical process for cleaning any of the Airwall products? Like, what do you recommend? How is it treated? How do you dry it, etc.?
Sure. Great question. That was always a concern from day one, from the invention of the Express here, which is why in the case of the Express and all of our products, the inserts that I showed you are hard plastic, but they come out, and what they leave behind is a soft rubber carrier. Nothing in here will damage the commercial or even large residential machine that you may want to choose to wash this in. That is one option. They are machine washable. They are also highly chemical resistant. We haven't found a chemical yet that offends them. So you can spray with any of your antimicrobial products, from the stuff that requires PPE, obviously, all the way to the stuff that you can theoretically eat. I'm not really keen on that, but sure. Antimicrobials are not a problem. Machine washing is not a problem. Power washing it, vacuum wiping, whatever you need to do to clean it. We envisioned a time when one of these would end up in a Cat-free environment, and I don't care how many antimicrobials you spray on it, you're going to want to wash it. So we made that definitely a priority in the development of the product, for sure. So, and of course, there's the Asporta too. We didn't mention that. If you have an Asporta, you can wash them in that as well. I don't think you have to go that far, but you could. You know, anything that you think is necessary. We haven't found anything yet that they don't work with. And as far as drying it, that was the other question. We found just hooking up your air mover for a few minutes, about 20 minutes, depending on the relative humidity, your air mover will actually dry it out. You don't even need to put it in the dryer. So, and the outside is actually kind of hydrophobic. So the water doesn't really cling to it, kind of rolls right off. Just getting the water out of the inside, you just run the air mover.
Great. Does anybody else have any other questions before we end? Like I said, I think this is, I mean, in terms of the industry, I think this is going to be financially not only more economical for getting it set up once you get in the routine of using it and training your teams to do it, but I think, you know, long term, not only that, you're operating more on a value of keeping plastics out of landfills. I mean, because this is, when you look at the industry as a whole, this is a lot of plastic. I mean, most of you on this webinar are spending thousands of dollars on plastic alone. And I just think the presentation, the way it looks, everything like you said earlier about customizing with logos. I mean, even as simple as putting Velcro strips on there, which it can do, right, Keith, where they could put, you know, temporary signage on it or things like that. If it's special notes and things like that, there's just so many options that can capitalize. So I would strongly encourage you to definitely just talk to Keith one-on-one. It's not an obligation to buy or anything like that. He wants to hear your feedback. If you think there's things that need to be added or developed, he loves hearing your feedback on these products. And, you know, the best way to get that feedback is from you guys in the field. So do not hesitate to reach out, ask questions, concerns, anything that you might have. Keith is very accessible in wanting to have that communication with you as well.
You've got some of my best ideas from some of the hardest questions. So yeah, definitely ask away. I thrive on it. So give me some other problem to solve. And if I've already solved it, then let me explain it. You know, I look forward to that opportunity.
Well, great. Well, we had a few of you already say that you want to set up the one-on-one, so we will email you. We're also going to email out a link for the replay of this in case you want to dive around or show to anybody else. Feel free to share that on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you hang out on social. Keith, is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off today?
No, I just want, well, I mean, yeah, I want to thank you all for being here. I really do. This is my favorite topic. I mean, this is my brainchild. It wouldn't have been possible without my partners, both my dad, who's my main partner, and Cole, who is also just absolutely essential. None of us could have done this without the other. So we're all grateful that we've come this far and that we've been able to develop so much product. And it excites me to show you what we've done, because I feel like we've really solved some big issues, and we've ameliorated some major pain points. In terms of labor costs and losses of materials and the sound. I mean, again, we didn't target that. It just happened, and it's huge. So, we're excited about it. This is, like I said, this is my favorite topic, and I appreciate the time you spent listening to me. And despite the limitations of this forum, we can't be, in person together, but I think you'll all agree that this was a good substitute, and I would love to do it again if given the chance. So.
Well, great. Well, like I said, if you do want the one-on-one, hit that poll real quick, just hit yes there, and we will send you an email by this afternoon to get that scheduled. We'll give you a list of available times for that, so you can pick what works best for you. Like I said, if you have any questions, myself, Whitney, Keith, we'll make sure you have all of our contact information in that email as well. I can tell you, even if you're not ready to get or even purchase the Airwall or any of their systems right now, Keith is somebody you definitely want to know. Just knowing him over the last few years and seeing the development and the research that they're doing behind the scenes is going to revolutionize parts of the restoration industry. And this industry has been the same for a long time. And I think it's what I admire most about Keith and his dad and their company is their ability to innovate, and try to do things that are more efficient, more economical, that solve problems for the challenges we're seeing in the industry. So, this is somebody, connect with him on LinkedIn, just reach out to him. This is somebody you absolutely want to know in this industry, so you'll be better equipped for the future.
Thanks, Sean.
Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I know many of you got to go. We just hit the hour mark. So like I said, we'll send out those emails this afternoon with the replay. Keith, thank you so much for putting this together today. Whitney, thanks for coordinating it. And thank you everybody for jumping on today. And we're very excited to answer any questions you have or address any concerns or thoughts or anything that you might have. So hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Thank you guys so much.